So the ingredients for our dog food today, I don't have a recipe per se, but generally you just need some kind of grain, meat, and vegetables, and then some kind of liquid to can it all in. But I've got apples from our Sean's uncle's apple tree, brown rice we had in the pantry, some leftover chicken bits. If you watched my last video, you saw I made some chicken broth, and this is actually all the chicken I got off the bones after I made broth. I'll leave a link to that video if y'all are interested. We've got sweet potatoes that obviously need to be used up. Zucchini from the garden. I've got zucchinis up to my ears, so this will be a great way to use that up. And then I've got turkey stock over there. I can leave that video too if you guys want to see how I made turkey stock. I have the chicken stock left over from this, but we just got like tons of turkey stock that I need to get rid of. But we'll just jump right into this and start with our prep. I'm just going to make my brown rice in the Instapot, and I'll show y'all how I'm going to prep the veggies. Alright, the rice is cooking, so next we're going to move on to our vegetable prep. Since potatoes do grow underground, you can see these are definitely, they need to be eaten or done something with, so dog food it is. Since these grow in the ground, they're especially hard to get clean. Like, you can scrub them, but there's still going to be some dirt in those little nooks and crannies. So, for the sake of canning them, I'm just going to go ahead and peel them. Because when you can, you want your produce and stuff to be as clean as possible. So, we're just going to go ahead and just take off the skins of these. And I thought I was going to just dice these, but I got a new shredder attachment for my KitchenAid for my birthday. And I think I'm just going to shred all my vegetables and the apples. Actually, I think technically zucchini is a fruit. But as is, these will not fit in my little shredder attachment, so I'm just going to kind of give them a, probably cut them into fourths. Maybe, if I can do this without hurting myself. Yeah, we'll just shred that. Whew. I don't want to dice through all this. There we go. That should be about the right size. And now, like I said, I'm not using any particular recipe. I just looked up fruits and vegetables that were safe for dogs. And I had sweet potato on hand. We're up to our ears in zucchini. And then apples are also safe for the dogs. So I'm just kind of using what we have on hand. It's also safe for her. Good for her. Alright. Oh. Now, the zucchini came from my garden. I'm not going to peel it. I just washed it off. Zucchinis grow above ground, so they're not particularly dirty, and I don't use any pesticides, so technically it's organic. And the skin also has like a lot of good fiber and stuff in it, so we'll let her have that. But again, I'm going to shred this, but there's no way this thing is going to fit into my shredder attachment like this, so we're just going to kind of chop it into slivers. Then we've got some apples. Again, these are just some apples. They're a little tart, but I think they'll be good. I've got this little doohickey that cores the apples. I've actually never used it before. Let's see how it goes. Very first time. Hey, well, that worked pretty good. Well, that's a cool little device. I got it for making dehydrated apple chips, but we never got around to that. But look at that. That was cool. I wasn't sure how it would work, especially with these little bitty apples, but and a little twist. Very cool. Huh. Honestly, if I shredded all this and sent it to the pressure canner, the cores probably would have been fine. The seeds aren't great for dogs, from what I've read, but I think you have to eat like a lot of the seeds for them to get sick from them. But we're already in it this deep, so we might as well core the apples while we're at it. Now we'll just kind of give them a little, it probably works better to get it in the shredder. Like I said, these are a little tart, but I just thought they'd add a nice flavor to it with the apples and sweet potato and everything. And the chicken. I like chicken and apple together. So here are veggies. And I'm going to break out my KitchenAid and the shredder attachment. So this is the KitchenAid shredder attachment. Very cool. I've used it a lot this summer. Just like any KitchenAid attachment. You start off by taking the little screw out, popping this off, and then you put it right up here. Go. And then you secure it back with the little screw. Alright. And it comes with different size grates, but I'm going to use the bigger one today, just because we're going to can this, and I don't, maybe you won't all turn the bush. And then just pops in. Huh? And then there's a little lever over here to get this out. Just pop it right out. And you got the little, I don't know what you call it, little pusher downer that goes up here. Helps push your food down while you're grinding. So pretty easy peasy, simple. We'll start with the zucchini. I do have a paper towel in my bowl to kind of hopefully help absorb a little bit of the moisture. But like I said, I don't think it'll really hurt it much. Go. Well, that was really satisfying. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching it. I'm going to mix these up, and then I've got two big, like, I don't know, like food grade tubs. I don't know what you call them. But I'm going to get those out, and then we'll start assembling the dog food, mixing it all together, and then we'll get to the canning part. Okay, so our rice is done. This was, let me think, 4.5 cups of uncooked rice, and when you make it in the Instant Pot, you just do like a 1-to-1 ratio. And all I like to do is just I'll fluff it with a fork. Yeah. Go. And you need to pre-cook the rice before you do this. Otherwise, if you put raw rice into your dog food when you can it, it's going to absorb all the liquid whenever you're canning it, because you'll essentially be cooking the rice and it's just going to absorb all that water when you do it. But yeah, that should be plenty of rice. Again, I'm finding this super satisfying. Between the two tubs, each one I split them all evenly, but total there is 18 cups of shredded chicken breast, 26 cups of rice. When I was putting all this together, the rice ratio was a little bit low, so I went ahead and made some more white rice. I didn't have any more brown rice, so we got 18 cups of white rice, actually 18 cups of vegetables, which I was probably a little heavy on the vegetables, but the zucchini went further than I thought. And then 18 cups of chicken. So really, I think you would want your vegetables to be a little bit lower, but it'll be okay, I think. But we're gonna mix all these together. I'm gonna try and mix them as evenly as possible, and then I'm gonna fill up my pint jars, and then we'll top them off with broth then, because we need some liquid to can it in. But I'll show you guys that process as well. Alright, I've got my pint jars and my funnel. Now we're going to fill these up with just 1 inch of head space. We're going to fill these up and leave 1 inch of head space. There we go. Yeah. So it looks like I'm going to get a lot out of this. Like I said, we're not going to cut out. This isn't going to be, this isn't going to replace her dry dog food. Just kind of pack it down there. But most likely she'll either still get dry dog food with her morning egg, or I'll just mix this in with her dry dog food. That way she still gets the benefit of the store-bought stuff in case this is lacking something, but I would think this is probably better for her than the store-bought stuff. Pack it down a little bit. Always good to enlist a little bit of help. Huh. I got Ruth working on the other tray while I'm doing the other one on the counter. So this is from our first tray. This wound up being 17 jars. So this is going to turn into maybe my biggest can adventure yet. I'm excited about it though. Our next step is we need some liquid, and I've just got some turkey broth that I canned up. I can leave a link below if y'all want to see how I do that. But it's not got any salt or any kind of seasoning in it. And we're just going to top off our jars, keeping our 1 inch of head space. Alright, we've got them all topped off with some broth. I did have to dip into my chicken broth a little bit. Alright. So now we're just going to use our debubbler, go all around and get all our bubbles out. Go. And while you're doing this, make sure you maintain that 1 inch of head space. Got that. Now we've got a clean paper towel. You can just wet it with water or vinegar. And we're going to wipe our rims. Oh, I need to pack that down a little bit more. I got a little sloppy with my head space. Now we've got them all wiped down. I usually keep my lids and rings in a big jar. I had to break out the KitchenAid bowl today. And then we're just going to put all our lids on, and then we're going to put our rings on fingertip tight. Phew. Alright, we got some jars ready to go in the canner. Ooh, this is what a full canner looks like. I borrowed one of Ruth's jars, and I wound up with 18 pints in this. Alright, and right now I've just got a little oil on my paper towel, and I'm going to oil this little rim. If you hear some background noise, Ruth's still back there working. We're going to put our lid on. Alright, and we want our little arrow to line up with this little indentation. And then we got our little hook here that goes under this lip. And when we're tightening these up, you always want to use, you want to do 2 at a time across from each other diagonal. And you start off with a loose, tighten them up loosely. Ah. Oops. I got oil on my hand, they're slipping. Oops. Alright, I did that the wrong way. Alright, now we go back through and tighten. Alright, now that we've got it good and sealed, we're just going to go ahead and turn it up. This is all, like, it's not exactly cold, it's more like room temperature stuff that I'm working with. So I am still going to go kind of slow when I'm heating up my canner. I got like warm water, about 10 inches of warm water, and a canning rack, and then I got one set of jars, another canning rack to divide my jars so they're not sitting right on top of each other, and then my other jars. So that's all I got in our canner. And like I said, we're going to start off kind of slow. I'm not just going to crank it up like I do sometimes. But we're going to wait for this to start boiling, and then we'll get a steady stream of steam coming from here. And once we get that steady stream of steam, we're going to set the timer for 10 minutes. So we've been steaming for 10 minutes, and all this is really hot. I'm going to go ahead and put my weight on now. For my altitude, my altitude, I need 15 pounds of pressure. I don't know if y'all can see that, but it's on the number 15 down there. Check your canner's manual, and it'll tell you according to your altitude how many pounds of pressure you need. But we're going to wait for this to come up to pressure. I don't know, if you saw my last video, you know I'm having issues with my little gear gauge, my pressure gauge over here. It's not coming up to pressure. So I'm going to go by just my little jiggling weight here. Whenever it starts jiggling, I'll start my timer for, let's see, we've got meat in pints, so it's 75 minutes. And it doesn't matter if the meat is cooked or raw. It's always 75 minutes for meat in pints. If you're doing quarts, it'd be 90. Ideally, this would come all the way to 15, but I still need to troubleshoot that. Something's going on with it. Well, it just needs to be cleaned out really good. But I've already replaced it once, and that didn't fix it. So I've not got around to looking at that yet. I think my videos are probably like a week apart, but I actually just canned all that chicken yesterday, so I've not had a chance to look at it. But once this starts jiggling, then I'm going to start my processing time for 75 minutes, and I'll probably have to adjust my stove. The more you do it, the more you kind of find that sweet spot for your stove. But I'll get back to you guys with that. It's been 75 minutes. All we're going to do now is just turn off our heat. There we go. And normally I would wait till my pressure gauge got all the way to 0, but since that one's being funky, I'm just going to give it an hour to calm down. This will stop jiggling. And normally it takes, like, when my pressure gauge is working, it usually takes anywhere between like 40 to 50 minutes to come all the way down to 0. So like I said, since that's kind of funky, I'm just going to go ahead and give it a solid hour. I'll set it in a 60-minute timer, and then we'll come back and do the next step. Silas fell asleep on me, so Sean had to step in. After the hour was over, we took the weight off the canner. Well, Sean. And we let it vent for about 5 minutes, and then we took the lid off, and you take it off the same way you put it on, like diagonally crisscross, and you unscrew 2 at a time. And when you take it off, just be careful because it is hot. But these have been setting for a little while, so I'm going to go ahead and take them out of the canner. Well, we had a casualty. Oh, yeah. I think I got impatient with my second batch, and I turned the stove up too soon. And it burst because I heard a noise in here. I was waiting on it to come start steaming, and I heard a noise. I was like, what was that? And I think that's what I was hearing. So just remember when you're cold packing to just be a little more patient than I was and bring your canner up to heat slowly. Alright, not too shabby. This is 32 jars. It made 34 total. I had one jar that broke, as you saw, and then one jar didn't seal. I went ahead and gave it to Dolly. Honestly, she was kind of about it. She wasn't licking the bowl like I expected. She did eat it, so that's good. Next time I do this, though, I think I'll do less rice and less vegetables. I think, too, if I had some something besides all that zucchini, she would have enjoyed it more. Maybe more, I know she likes sweet potato. I didn't have any carrots. That would have been another good vegetable. But maybe more sweet potato and carrots next time if I'd probably do this again, though. It was a lot of work, but it'll be a good way to supplement her dog food. But if y'all like this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more like it, go ahead and subscribe. And I hope y'all come back and see me.